Friends, when our grandparents, Dadi, Nani, Nanaji, Dadaji used to give us something, we never threw it away carelessly. We value it, we reuse it, we protect it. Perhaps nature taught us the circular economy thousands of years before we coined this term. Today, regulation call it EPR. We as a corporate...
Yes, the rPET being at the lower end of virgin price, it helped, rather aided the situation to adopt rPET more and more into the packaging. However, going forward, there's two things which we have to understand. rPET is also dynamically linked with the virgin price. So the bottle price in India, it also moves, but it does not move in tandem all the time. Even if raw material can be lower, the OPEX cost will make rPET slightly placed above virgin in a longer run. But I feel that rPET and VPET will always coexist in the system.
Very true.
There has to be disassociation on only the pricing of rPET.
Please clarify.
So, thank you, Pankaj bhai, and thank you, Nidhi for having me. But so imported plastic waste in our country is currently banned by the government. But unfortunately, there is a network of importers and traders who bring in regrind. The plastic waste is regrind, which enters the stream, and therefore the traceability which is required from brands in order to avoid any penalties in future would be to have a proper traceability chain from the recycler, that where is the raw material source coming from, what is the aggregation network, and where is the actual thing coming on, because there is an importer involved and then there's a trader who basically bills it in an INR billing. So from a recycler perspective, he can still think it's coming from a local billing, but actually the material can be imported. But the government is very clear that imported material is not to be counted, whether for EPR or for recycled content. And that is a challenge which, frankly, I think the government will get more clarity on soon.
We've invested in both rPET and rPO because we think that they represent two pillars of India's circular economy. Comparing the both, rPET is the more mature business than rPO. It has an established collection network, cleaner waste streams, and now regulatory framework to be used in food contact application. When we see polyolefin, when we see PE and PP combined, they have the largest share in plastic packaging. And it's more complex to recycle them because waste comes from different applications, films, rigid containers, etc. So with the recycled content and Europe come in play, we see that there's going to be a growing demand in terms of rPO, and so
basically the entire scrap in India is collected by the informal sector, which is, ages old in India, wherein we had, the kabadi wala, the rack pickers, and then, the aggregators. So basically it starts that, the rack picker collects all the scrap which is there in the, on the roadside or wherever, and he gives it to his nearest, kabadi wala, who in turn gives it to the aggregator. And from the aggregator, it comes to an organized recycler. Originally, like you rightly pointed out, the GST was 5% on scrap, which was, collected and sent for recycling. And today it stands at 18%. So as we can all understand, the sector below the recycler is very, very fragmented, and they are either very micro or very small, entrepreneurs. So the
mechanical and chemical will go hands in hand. Mechanical will require always segregated raw material, like top class raw material, but chemical can handle little bit of hard to recycle raw material. So there is basic difference between that. It is not that mechanical is better or chemical is better. For us, both are two wheel of a cycle, and both will go parallelly. None of that mechanical will go or chemical will go. In part of cost, chemical is little bit complex process, capex is more, as well as process is little bit of complex. Due to the same, cost of chemical is still higher if we want to make rigid grade. But going forward, I think that it would be normalized with mechanical as we progress more towards chemical recycling, and costs would be on hand to hand. In that case, chemical and mechanical both will be preferred. Further, in flexible packaging, as well where mechanical cannot be used, 100% mechanical recycling cannot be used. Whereas,
so, for us, almost since 2011, we have been using PET flakes. It was just in the last 30 days where 3 brands have actually asked me, how can we get the recycled content transferred to us? So, I mean, what is changing is the regulation. And as the implementation comes, because we have been trying to position ourselves as, with verified recycled content, etc., through our sheets and thermoforms, but nobody valued it. But what we are seeing a change in the landscape is now with the regulation coming in and the implementation moving with a more stringent effect. That is where what is catching attention. But sheets and thermoforms have been using flakes for 15 years in India or more.
Yep, thank you. So now most youngest actually by the age.
Are also looking into. I understand that rigid is the processing which has the highest double-digit growth in the entire plastic verticals, which is PVC, flexible.